respectfully request the Sangha great virtues for the sake of this assembly and all living beings. Please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how to end birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung thính đại đức tặng thịnh, vì thứ pháp hội cấp nhất thiết chúng sanh. Thịnh chuyên diệu pháp luân giao đạo ngã môn, như há liêu sanh thoát từ ly khổ đắc lạc, tốc chứng vô sanh. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Nam mô Sa Đan Thô Su Che Do Ye A La Hư Đi San Miao Sam Pu To Xie. Nam mô Ta Đa Tha Tu Ya Da Ya A La Ha De Tam Miao Tam Bồ Đà Toa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now that I'm able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual principles. Wu shang sheng sheng wei miao fa bai jian Wan jie nan zao yu, wo jin jian wen de shou qu, yuan jie ru lai che shi yi. O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Great Master Jing Liang, Great Master YongHua, and all monks and nuns and all good advisors, Emitofuo. 诸佛菩萨、清凉大士、师父上人、各位出家人、各位善知识，阿弥陀佛。Chư Phật Bồ Tát, kính thưa Thanh Lương Quốc sư, Hòa thượng Thiên Hoa, quý thầy cô, quý vị thiện tri thức A Di Đà Phật. Hello everyone. Today is the 25th of March 2022. Thank you all for coming to our discussion of the prologue written by, to the Avatamsaka Sutra written by Master Jing Liang. We're right now on slide 269 about cause and effect, cause and conditions, about why this sutra was spoken in the first place. Okay, let's jump right into it. If expanded, they are limitless and so forth, and so within the Dharma Realm chapter, there is not just one kind.
广集无量，法界品中，类非一故。
Okay, 270. When in the commentary slide, when the Dharma Realm is expanded from the five Dharma Realms as a reminder, the Dharma Realms of Dharmas, Dharma Realms of people, Dharma realms of both Dharmas and people, Dharma of either or the Dharma of non-obstruction. Is it either or neither? Should be neither, right? Anyway, the Dharma realms of Dharmas are then expanded to 10. The 10s are Dharma realms of specifics, of principles, of states, of conducts, of substance, of function, of compliance, of opposition, of teaching, and of meaning. As you see, there's very detailed way to analyze the universal Buddhist knowledge, Buddhist knowledge about the universe. So it's probably a lot more than we care to understand. But Master Ching Liang, to him, it's very clear. That's what the Avatamsaka Sutra expounds and helps us understand the scope of this vast knowledge about the universe. So that's how wise Master Ching Liang was. And then on slide 271, the Dharma Realms. Remember the 5 major Dharma Realms that are broken into 10? The Dharma Realms of people, 1 of the 5, is expanded into 10 of humans, number 2 of gods, number 3 of men, number 5 is of women. See, men and women are quite different, okay? Number 6 of those at home. Number 7, those who left home. Number 8, those of outside ways. Okay, outside ways refer to the people who try to find answers to life, try to develop wisdom from looking away from the mind. All the wisdom, all the secret of the universe is contained within our mind. So the Buddhists, they look at our mind. For example, they look at looking into the mind through meditation, through various Buddhist practices. That's what the Buddhists excel doing. And they understand why we are do certain things in response to the external stimuli. Why do we quit when there's too much pressure at the job? Why do men divorce their wives? Okay, so when you meditate, you look into that, okay, then it helps you understand what drives you, the engine that drives you for those actions, those acts. Because, the funny thing, just speak in very, very ordinary people perspective, most people, they get divorced. And they carry the same problem on the next marriage, and the next marriage, and the next marriage. They never really learn to understand why they divorced in the first place, what brought them to that decision to break the marriage. So that's why the Buddhism, that's an example for you to see there's such important issues in life. And we always try to find problems outside. And you go and try to talk to a marriage counselor, and they help you a little bit, and then eventually they run out of bullets, okay? And then you try the next counselor and so forth. You're always trying to find external help. Whereas the Buddhists, we primarily meditate, endure the pain and the suffering, part of the process. And in doing that, we have this process of cultivation that helps us understand why we create karmas, why we do the things that brought us to this state of we need to break the marriage, otherwise we can't take it anymore. You see? So that's why when you look at the Buddhists, you look at Buddhism, you will find the solutions to many of the world's problems. Wars, invasions, hurting the environment and so forth. Okay? So that's why in Buddhism, unlike those who specialize in looking at solutions outside, that's why they call outside ways, or they call externalists. Outside ways is a more polite term. Externalists, meaning that they look for solutions to the problems, to their problems, to the world's problems, at other than our minds. Okay? Dharma realm of people, number 9 is of spirits. Those are the yang beings. Number 8 of spirits. Number 9 of bodhisattva. Number 10 of Buddhas. Next. So you see 272. So Dharma realms can be broken down further, expanded limitlessly. Dharma realm specifics can be broken up further. Dharma spirits can be broken further, and so forth. So that's a very, very detailed knowledge that you can dig deeper into. But we will get lost in the details. Let's leave it to the experts. Leave it to those whose job is to conquer that part of the universe, okay, and specialize in doing that. That's part of the contribution to society. In the Avatamsaka Sutra, there are 101 towns, locations, and there are 3,000 Gunu advisors and so forth. So there are different types, different ways of different specialties, different types of specialists, if you will. 273, like the minor characteristics and the Asamkhyeya, which are spoken by the Buddha in the rest of the assemblies, for the most part, the Bodhisattvas speak.
如真其随好，即是佛说，于慧多菩萨说。
All right, so this is one of the different thing about this Avatamsaka Sutra as well. This sutra is so big that there are many different speakers. So it says here in the Asamkhyeya chapter and the 32 marks and 80 minor characteristics chapters, those are the chapters that the Buddha discussed himself. The other chapters, the most of the other chapters in the assemblies from the sutra are mostly spoken by bodhisattvas, but those bodhisattvas, if you will, are aided by the spiritual power of the Buddhas, so that they actually, the Buddhas actually use those bodhisattvas' mouth and presence to speak the Dharma. Okay, so actually, and that's the nature of the Dharma, how the Dharma was transmitted to us. 275, the Dharma Realm chapter is the first to have sound hearers speak. All the Gunu advisors and so forth, for the most part, are bodhisattvas who speak, which is also called living beings speaking.
法界品出，有声闻说，诸善友等，多菩萨说，亦名众生说。
All right, 276, all the house workers are finished for the day, so they're all here. Okay, so commentary slide 276. The Dharma Realm chapter is another exception where it's spoken by the sound hearers. And that's the sound hearers are, in Mahayana, are called small enlightened. They attain small enlightenment. So what is a small enlightenment? The small enlightenment here is the first significant level of enlightenment in Mahayana, where you are considered to have some wisdom. What wisdom? These fourth-stage arhat, the sound hearers, or whether it's a sound of an arhat or pratyeka Buddha, they have this special wisdom that ordinary people below them cannot possibly have, meaning that they experience emptiness of the self and of the dharmas. Meaning what? This is confusing to me too when I first learned about these concepts. And unfortunately for me, no one ever really explained them for me at all. So let me spare you the trouble and the heartaches and the disappointments. It's very simple. What's the emptiness of the self? Meaning there's no more ego. Okay? They maybe temporarily, let's say, have a craving for hamburgers. Anyone? On 846, it's still open. Today, I have some really nice cheesecake, and I'm not asking for more. I'm watching my weight, okay? Please. And so they served this cheesecake here. I was warned already, Daniel. They said, today at lunch, a cheesecake will be brought to the temple, meaning you better show up. So I showed up. I ate. I patiently waited and waited. I ate, and then I saved myself. Okay. I do calorie counting too. The Buddhists, they count the breath. I count calories. So, these poor, look at these poor monks. Oh, she said, "What you guys do at San Jose?" "Yeah, we're happy here." "Where are you from?" "San Francisco." "Mountain View." Okay. Mountain View does not even have a view of the mountain, which is what kills me. And people still want to move there, live there. It's weird. Anyway, there's so many mysteries in the universe I don't get. So anyways, I saved made some room for the cheesecake. And I waited and waited, and the cheesecake finally was brought from the altar and this beautiful, beautiful cheesecake. And my disciple took a knife and destroyed it. I was so shocked. I said, "My God, how can you destroy such a beautiful looking thing?" But you know why? It tasted so good. So I said, "Is this your first time you brought cheesecake to the temple?" He says, "No, it's the second time." I said, "You remember?" I said, "Yeah." "I don't remember." He said, "I brought it some time ago." And I said, "When?" She said, "She bought 2 slices. 2 slices. So now she bought the entire cheesecake. It is so tasty. And you know, Young Song, in Korea, cheesecake here, I always thought that cheesecake are, you must go to Cheesecake Factory. Now I'm not going to Cheesecake Factory. I'm going to another shop. Okay, so anyway, how do you get into cheesecake again? Okay, so what happened is that you have a craving for a burger or cheesecake. Just a minute. Let me calm myself down. It helps. Okay. So the fourth stage aha, the sound hearer, they would say, they realize, this is very important. Pay attention, folks. Okay? Don't believe what Master Z says. It's a lot of work, cultivation. Okay? Here in the US of A, we work very hard. What we do is we realize, okay? We realize we have a craving for a burger, for cheesecake, let's say. Okay? It's a problem. And all we have to do, all the 4th stage Arhat or Pratyeka Buddha have to do is say, who's craving? No one is craving. So they experience what is called the emptiness of the self. There's no more self who's craving. There's no one who's craving. That's how the craving stops. You see that? Think how useful it is. Can you think of one application why it's useful? You can? Let's say you are Putin, and you have a craving for Ukraine. And if you're Putin, you're 4th stage Arhat, and he's not, clearly, because when you're 4th stage Arhat, you said, who's craving? No one is craving, so there's no need to invade Ukraine. Am I really offending anyone with talking about politics again? No. You see how useful it is. You can save so much grief to the world, so much suffering, and so many missiles. Useful, yes? Or they also are able to do this as well, the 4th stage Arhat or the Pratyeka Buddhas. Instead of looking at themselves as there's no one who's craving, they look at the cheesecake. And they say, what cheesecake? Because the Dharma, cheesecake is the Dharma, is the thing. So they say, look at the cheesecake, and they say, this cheesecake is empty. So they stop the craving immediately, instantaneously. That is called wisdom. I know you're disappointed. You said, After all these years, after the suffering, after pain that you're undergoing, yes, sir? You know what I'm talking about? Huh? Crossing your legs in full lotus and torturing yourself like that, and you do heavy breathing and you scream. Some of my disciples scream through, the top of their heads, and they feel so bad. All that, okay? Does it make sense? Okay? So all that, in order to acquire wisdom, what does wisdom do? Wisdom says, I have no more craving for cheesecake. How disappointing, huh? But that's to the Buddhists. For us, is wisdom. It really is wisdom. Because you can choose. Contrary to the Koreans. The Koreans said, no, okay, I will deprive myself because I'm Asian. I can repress my desires, yes? Because it's a proper thing to do. Those of wisdom says, what desire? There's no repression. There's no suppression. You can be yourself. So you have a choice. Either you indulge in eating cheesecake, which I did today, and the next time that is offered to me again, I'm warning you. I will look at it and say, what cheesecake? And don't be offended. Got that? I'm warning you. Okay? Don't think you got me. Okay. So that's the advantage of the sound hearers. You can choose to indulge or you choose not to. It's all up to you. That's called wisdom. So wisdom, folks, is not something that, unlike the Koreans like Sunim, like Chung Yin or Wan Tek says, wisdom is, I will deprive myself of all the good things in life. I deprive myself of, things because I don't deserve it. I have too many sins. I committed too many sins. Okay? No, wisdom is that when it's time for you, when it's appropriate for you to enjoy the hamburger, to enjoy the food because it makes your wife happy, makes your husband happy. You enjoy that nice new car because it makes your husband happy. Then you should enjoy it. Okay? You don't have to deprive yourself. Whereas other times when it does not make sense, it's more beneficial, that you don't enjoy it, then you have that choice. Whereas ordinary people cannot have that choice. Okay? So for example, there's something even more practical. I don't know, maybe it makes sense to you. Let's say, do nail. Huh? And you have that craving. You're forced to you're not afraid of that. You say, what drugs? Okay? You have control. You're not impressed. I don't care. Okay? Why do I even bother again? Okay, so I'm joking. So the point here of the wisdom is that the sound hearers have this experience, the emptiness of the self, of the Dharma, meaning when they look at themselves, they see emptiness. There's no self, no ego at all. Or they look at the things that we crave for. You can say, hey, I don't need to crave for this. So they have control over their lives. That's called wisdom. That's all wisdom is good for, folks. It's not going to make you a lot of money. It's going to make you have a yacht, a red car. I tried that. It didn't work. Okay? But it gives you the choice and control over your life. Okay? You're not slave to desires like ordinary people. And you have a choice. All right? So that's what wisdom is for. So the sound hearers, actually amazingly, they're called small wisdom because they only experience that emptiness of the self and of the dharmas, of external things. However, it's called small enlightenment because their kind of wisdom there is pretty small compared to the big wisdom called enlightenment in Buddhism. That's why. However, do not look down upon the sound hearers. And that's why they've chosen to speak the Dharma here for us, to tell you that they are important too. Why are they important? They're important because it's not until you reach a sound hearer's level, an Arhat, a Pratyeka, a Buddha level position, you cannot really be taught. It's so difficult to teach you. You don't get it. Whereas the sound hearers, when you teach them, they can be taught. They can learn a lot quicker than you. For example, below, it takes a lot longer to teach people below their levels. But at their levels, it's much easier. And that's why they're considered to have wisdom, because they can be taught. I know I speak differently, I explain it differently than the Hinayana or Mahayana people, because to me, I was frustrated when I started learning about these concepts, about how abstract and how unclear. Why should we bother? Okay? Give me a reason why I should continue to torture myself and endure or deprive myself of all these things. Okay? So that's why in Buddhism, wisdom is something that enables you to let go. It does not necessarily help you make more money at all, okay, and become more successful at all. All right. Yeah. But it makes you a better person. You may be poor, but you're a better person. Yeah. All right. And next, going back to the commentary slide 276, all the other good advisors, okay, meaning they're not bodhisattvas, the lower level, they're not the arhats, okay. The most part are bodhisattvas who speak the Dharma for us, and that's called living beings speaking. All right, 277, the Bodhi tree and so forth are the realms of things speaking. When the texts are reached, this will be known.
菩提树等及器界说，至闻当知。
Okay, 278, commentary. There will be texts that will speak the Dharma for us as well. That's called the realm of things speaking. And this is the wisdom of the Avatamsaka Sutra, meaning that if you have, we're talking about Mahayana wisdom, we're talking Mahasattva wisdom, meaning that the enlightened people, the bodhisattvas, low level, they really don't understand it yet. But Master YongHua, who's a Mahasattva, he said a long time ago, and it stuck in my mind for some reason. He said, the 10,000 things speak the Dharma. I couldn't understand it. I said, 10,000? How can things speak the Dharma? Don't you need a mouth? Don't you need to make sounds? Don't you need to draw? Make a video or something? No. The things, these things, the inanimate things. If you have the wisdom of the Mahasattvas, I'm not talking about Xu Yun's wisdom. Xu Yun's level is low, too low to understand it. But higher level Master Xu Yun, you look at things and say, that thing is speaking about this Dharma that these Mahasattvas can understand. Okay? So that's why things also speak Dharma. You don't necessarily need people to speak the Dharma. Okay? And you learn more. And that's very fascinating to me later. And I realized how wonderful my late Chinese teacher was. I mean, the range of his Dharma is very low to very, very high. Okay? because he himself sees how things, the 10,000 things, meaning everything speaks the Dharma. Everything. 279. Those persons who speak use methods that differ.
其能说人用法不同。
280. So those who speak the Avatamsaka Dharma, okay, whether it's Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and so forth, Arhats, and so forth, they choose different methods depending on their preference, depending on the audience, okay? And so you see, the 10,000 dharmas don't actually cannot use methods. They speak, okay? But it's the speakers, the sentient beings who use the mouth to speak and use the body to speak the dharma. Like the Italians, they speak differently, so they use different methods. The Italians, they use their hands. Italians. Have you talked to Italian? No, you don't get it. My mother is a wonderful, wonderful person. As they use their hands. So it's different. I love Italians. Neapolitan pizza. If anyone can create such a dish, they gotta be good people. 281, they may use sounds, they may use wondrous forms and colors and so forth, as is explained as the substance of the teaching.
或用音声，或用妙色等，如教体中变。
All right, 282. So what different methods? They can use sounds, which is the primary form of teaching here in our world, outside our world. Sound is the most effective way of teaching. Beings here, the residents here, they respond best in the teaching of the sounds. And that's why the Buddha came to our world and taught using sound, spoke the Dharma. Okay? For example, in contrast, in our desire, when you go to the heavens, in some heavens, for example, heaven of second dhyana and so forth, they speak Dharma using light. Okay, so different methods are chosen differently, and will be explained in the substance of the teaching. That's a section later. 283. The seventh condition, the seventh, depending on the person listening, when he was told Tzu Chi has died, Baya ceased playing the lute. If there are no listeners, there will never be a speaking.
第七，一听人者，子其云丧，伯牙错旋；若无听者，终无有说。
Tzu Chi or Tzu Chi? Are you Chinese people? I heard Tzu Chi, huh? You Chi? Huh? Tzu Chi, you see? Not Tzu Chi. Chi is Vietnamese. Okay, the seventh condition of why the sutra was spoken, why it had to be spoken, was because of who's in the audience. In a very small way, I can relate to you in a way that you might be able to connect with that. See, my speaking of Dharma, my teaching you has evolved so much. And you go back to the last 16 years of my speaking of Dharma, Master Xianjie has been there at least 13, I think. 12 or a dozen. Yeah, 10 to 12. We just make a little bit. Add a little bit of spices. Too honest. So anyway, so you notice you go through the recordings of the teaching. I changed quite a bit. It's still changing. It's because of the level of the students. The more advanced you are, the more we need to reveal to you. That's just the way it is. Okay, so the Dharma is always spoken depending on who listens to it. Why is it important? It's important because you, by merely coming to listen to the Dharma, you're creating so many blessings for yourself. Because otherwise, it would not be spoken. Otherwise, there's no Dharma to be spoken to you. It's only spoken for your sake, meaning people like you. Okay? So that's why the Avatamsaka Sutra was spoken because of the Bodhisattvas in attendance. And because of that, the Bodhisattvas were there. He made the effort to be there, made sacrifices to be there, stopped their work, went far away from their families and their children and so forth, and they came to listen and make so many sacrifices. Because of that, now we get a chance to learn about it. Okay? So that's why the person listening is very important. The people who listen are the reason why the Dharma is spoken. So that's what happened. A lot of bodhisattvas would come to attend in order to elevate the level of the Dharma being given to us. So typically in these chapters, the speaker, before they spoke, they would close their eyes, they enter samadhi and look at the audience and they say, this is how, this Dharma and this level here is appropriate for the people present here today, or the people who will listen in the future as well. So in our case, in this particular Dharma here, okay, the Avatamsaka Sutra is spoken for the people present then as well as for us nowadays, and for our future generations as well. That's how important it is. Okay. Okay. So it depends on the person speaking. If there's no speakers, there will be no listeners. There will be no speaking. So it's important in Buddhism that we encouraged people to come and attend the sutra lectures. That's very important on both sides. The monks and nuns need to learn to speak the Dharma, and the lay people and the monks and nuns also need to come and listen to the Dharma as well, so that the Dharma lives on and benefits the world. 285. When it was told Tzu Chi had died, Baya ceased playing the lute. And this is one of my favorite stories. When I heard this story, something in my heart clicked. And I said, wow, this is such a beautiful, beautiful story. And I heard this story a long, long time ago when I was a teenager, and stuck in my mind. You know, the concept of someone who knows your sound, someone who knows you. And this is a beautiful, beautiful story, that courtesy of the Chinese culture. Okay, there are two people. The two main players are Tzu Chi is a wood gatherer, Jiao Fu. Okay, and the other person is Baya, who is a government official who can play the lute. The lute is a Chinese guitar, if you will. You know what I'm talking about? You know the lute? Show them a photo of the lute. We need to have audio, video. No? Not that? That's not a guitar? Are you sure it's a Vietnamese version or Chinese version? Can I have it my Vietnamese way? So the lute actually is the thing, right? Is that the one? Yeah. But I think that's what you're talking about, right? Yeah. And in some kung fu movies, they throw this thing at you. Another kung fu movie lover. Okay, so this, he can play the lute. Oh, I didn't realize it. The qin is like the gang qin, so it's the earlier version of the piano later. Huh? Yeah. Oh, I got it now. Okay. So anyway, here's the story. Would you like to hear? I'm not going to tell you. We can skip this and cover more. Huh? Unless you want me to tell you. Chinese people, you decide. Anyway, so Baya is a government official, so he's refined, if you will. The guy has taste, has class, so he plays the lute, you see? Because as far as Confucian value system is that you need to understand music. It's called refinement. And now Liang says, I'm going to buy a lute. Next, she says, no more houses, lute. So being government official, okay, he loves the refined things, okay? So he plays the lute. What's the best refinement? You produce refinement yourself. So he played the lute. He excels at playing the lute, okay? And so what he does is that every now and then he would hop on his boat, okay? And I'm not sure what kind of motor he used, maybe or paddle, we don't know, okay? Or it could be a guy who goes, like the Italian ones. You remember Italy? Okay. But anyways, he would hop on a boat and get away from the city. Now, Tuan, one of my disciples, he would go mountain climbing or on a hike. No, Baya has much more refined taste. He hop on a boat and then go into the wilderness. Okay, and to do what? To play the lute by himself. Okay, he was playing. He enjoyed playing by himself, enjoying his performance, his own performance. Okay, and Tzu Chi happened by. It was gathering wood and happened by and said, "Wow, there's music in the mountain. What happened?" So he got near the river. Oh, he was high up there, and he got near the river. Looked down. Am I right? Or is it the same level? He's a Chinese person. Okay, so he listened to the music, and he said, "Wow, this is good stuff." So listen. He sat down. He listened. He put down his wood that he's been gathering. He put it down. He started listening. Okay, he said, "Wow, can you imagine a wood gatherer appreciating music? Think about it. Unusual, yes?" So he listened, and Tzu Chi says, after Tzu Chi, Taiwanese, Tzu Chi, as soon as Baya finished that playing, Tzu Chi exclaimed, "Wow, that music is lofty as Mount Sumeru, Mount Tai. Tai is the tallest mountain in China." Okay? And Baya said, was surprised. He said, "Wow, he knows, he understands." So Baya didn't say anything. Baya played the next one. Okay? And he finished playing, and Tzu Chi was still there. And he says, "Wow, this is like water flowing." Well, I apologize for the audio-video enhancements. We ran out of money. We couldn't afford to. depressing. Anyway, so Juchi says, wow, it's surging like running streams, like running water. And Baya said, wow, this guy knows what he's talking about. He played next song that is very sorrowful, someone lamenting, she left me again, I'm too poor. She married into money and power. I'm here in my Vietnamese thatch hut, broken-hearted. And GC said, oh, wow, it's so sad. I feel like crying. And then Baya played something happy. And GC says, wow, it's so merry. It's such a very happy music. So Baya exclaimed, you really know my sound. Okay? Know my sound is from a Chinese, chu in. Chu is to know, in is sound. So that's the name of the concept. Chu in, Chinese concept. Someone who knows my sound. That's from the story. And they fall in love with each other. What the Chinese do, they got some blood, okay? They prick some blood from the fingers, and then they drop it in a cup of water, and they drink it, and they swear to become brothers, okay? So they became blood brothers. And then they agreed. Because remember, Chu Chi is kind of illiterate. You can't talk much to him. He's a jiao fu. He gathers wood. What can he doesn't know anything about Ukraine. Doesn't know anything about yacht, about cars, horses, and so forth. So of course, after the thing, they were happy, and they say, okay, let's meet again next year to entertain each other. Okay. And so they parted. So Chu Chi continued his work, gathering wood, okay, to make a living. And Baya went back home, back to the court, and continued working as an official in the court. And a year later, Baya couldn't wait. The time came. He hopped on the speedboat. And it's a speedboat. And he flew to the mountain. Okay. Yeah. He said, finally. See, today we have very special sound effects. Okay? And he said, finally. I've been waiting all year for this. I swear I could have died having to wait for so long. And then, and he immediately whipped out the harp, and he started playing, like mad, like a madman. And he played. I mean, this is my creation. He said, this Chu Chi is going to be impressed. He'll be so confused because they challenge each other. So they play this song, and he said, I know he cannot guess this. And guess what? No sound. Silent day. Holy day. Holy cows, he says. He realized no one's there, but he didn't give up. He played another song, another new creation of his. And timing is everything, my friend. If not, there's no point in having live sound effects. Huh? No. There you go. He said, happened to Chi? No one here. He was so brokenhearted. And he said, this is not acceptable. So he climbed up the mountain. And he looked for Chi. And what happened? He said, I can't find him. What's all this is my life? I'm so miserable. And he found a woman, finally, an old woman. He says, he looked at him and say, are you Baya? He said, you know me? He said, yeah, my son knows you. My son Chi. Yeah. And he said, oh, what happened to him? The old woman says, my son died. He couldn't wait for your music. He said, enough of this wait. A year too long. What else did he say? Baya said. He laughed. He's going to be so disappointed that I died so soon. So anyway, Baya was heartbroken. He went to the tomb, exactly what he did. My Chin died. And he hung the lute up there and broke into pieces. And that's the story. And after the lute broke, there's complete silence. Except for... Yes, YouTube has a question.
From Jane, 中子期 the qi is second tone.
Jane, the Chinese, they always argue. One China person tells me this, the other Chinese person would disagree. Okay? I'm confused like heck. This is too much. Okay, do I hear from a third Chinese person? Chu Hong, what do you think? Let's have someone impartial. Okay. Okay. Anyone? Yeah. Yeah.
Zhihong is
work?
translating.
Huh?
Zhihong is working. She's translating.
She's translating?
Yeah.
We don't know any other Chinese person, do we? No more, huh? Okay, well, we let the, Zhu Qi, to me, so the same. With all due respect. Okay. I cannot pronounce it right anyway. Okay. So, the story, this is interesting. To me, what caught my attention and really influenced me for my entire life, it gave me this craving that since I listened to that story when I was younger, when I was a teenager, I had this craving to look for someone who can understand me, and so the search goes on and on and on. First, I turned to friendships, didn't work. Turned to girlship, didn't work either. Turned to marriageship, didn't work either. So, and finally, Mahayanaship, it worked. Okay, so how did it work? It worked because it helped me get rid of that need to have someone understand me. I said, I was so stupid. Why does anyone have to understand me at all? I was so relieved. If people understand you, good. They don't understand you, big deal. They understand you, so what? You're not going to get richer. Okay? They give you more cheesecake, so what? And now you have to, to cut back on something else. I'm kidding. Thank you. Yes, Black.
I just want to comment that usually people only feel hurt if they're not understood by people they look up to or care for. Like, I guess you would not care if some person you don't care for don't understand you. But I don't know, like a master, if Master YongHua doesn't understand you.
No, he doesn't. I assure you.
And then you don't feel hurt.
If he did, he would never do the things he did to me. Because I never forgive him. No, it's funny because each person is different. For me, it's like what the thing it did to me is that it made me feel like if I can find someone like Baya felt, he could find someone who could understand him, that's enough. He doesn't need anything else. So he's expert at playing the lute. He's like a virtuoso. And his entire life, he produced excellent music, sublime music, and no one could really appreciate it. To the point where he said, what's the point? I want to run away from it all so that I can go play, because it's the same. These people, they don't understand what this music is about. So that's why he had to run away, okay, and go to somewhere. He came by himself and enjoy it, okay, do the thing, do his own things. Then he found Zhuqi, either one of them, okay, would do, he says. And Zhuqi understood his music, and the first thing that ever happened to him. Okay, so, and that's the thing that maybe clicked in me, in that if you have something nice and someone appreciates it, then it's all worth it. If you have something of a treasure and no one really appreciates it, then what's the point? Okay, so that's what, for my entire life, I'm looking for someone who kind of can understand what we're about, what I'm about. And so this is thirst, this is constant thirst, where, no, it's not quite there yet, if you will. Okay, and so there's a gap in this thirst, where in me that says once is enough. But who is that one person that Baya could find that I couldn't? Because Baya, the reason Baya broke the lute, he says, this is it. This is good enough for me. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm satisfied with my work. Okay? And you can look at it as in terms of the craving to be understood, to be appreciated, or you can look at it as if you are happy once, you can let go. How is that? The flip side of that story. Have you thought about that? If you experience, for example, a nice cheesecake, a sublime cheesecake once, okay? If they bring it again to you, the second time you taste it, I assure you it's not the same as the first. Because now your taste buds are expecting it. You see that? So if you have something that's the best ever, okay, the second time around would decrease in values. So that's why part of the wisdom is that if you can enjoy it once, that's good enough. Let go. Don't need to ask for more. You can detach. And that's, to me, that's the flip side of this story, this Bhaya story, where you can let go. He can let go his lute. He doesn't need to prove himself anymore that he's competent. He's a virtuoso. He said, I don't need to. I have no more doubt in my mind. And move on to other pursuits. Maybe play the real guitar for a change. Okay? So anyway, so the story is fascinating because, go ahead, Wei Mountain.
Thank you, Master. I had a question about, I've been trying to let go of my curiosity and my striving. And I realize that those are so fundamental to who I am. But when I release them, I am able to tap into a way greater presence of my awareness. However, I don't know what to do there. I don't know how to incorporate that into my life because it's so far removed from how I regularly, habitually act. How do I bring that awareness level to everything that I do and create a new personality that can harness it?
Sound effect. I'm waiting for sound effects. No more? That's it? Now on my own? Bummer. So what can he do? I don't know. Find maybe Chu Chi? Why are you trying so hard? You're not different from another Korean lady I call concubine. What are you different? Why are you any different from her? She comes to me and she came to me and said, I want to become four-stage Arhat. Give it to me. I don't give it to me, then it's not worth it. None of it is worth it. It's called greed. You're not different. You say, oh, this makes sense to me. I want to aspire for this, and therefore, I want it. I want it. This drives me to go there. I want it. But you don't understand that's detrimental to you getting there. You're trying too hard. You cannot force things like the grass to grow quicker than it could. No more. You could force yourself to get there quicker. That's what you do. Every time you ask a question, how do I get there quicker? The question should be, what should the question be again? Sound effects. What should the question be? One question is that if I'm this greedy for that, for me to get there, is that really called wisdom? Let me tell you a secret. You get there because you deserve to get there. Because you did the right things to get there. What are those right things you want? You keep on asking, what is I must do in order to get there? There's no solution for that. There's no answer for that. Because this Mahayana is a way of life. I teach Mahayana because to help you Westerners, because you guys are goal-oriented. So I dangle a carrot in front of you and say, this is called improvement, this is called enlightenment, this is called fourth stage arhat. You go there, and guess what? It gets further and further. You keep going there. Okay? But it's a way of life. You keep going towards it. You keep going towards it. The closer you get to it, the further it gets. Okay? But the mere fact, because you're going in that right direction, you will get there. Eventually, will you catch on? No one can guarantee you get there, or no one can shorten it for you. In contrast, instead of insisting I deserve to get there, that's what you're telling me. I deserve to get there. I can figure out how to get there. Okay? And that's very, very Americanized. I deserve to get there. I'm worthy to get there. Instead, look at around you. Ask around you how you got there. Or watch them. And that's part of the learning process. You have this group of people have different levels. You're looking at you want to get to the mountain, but you have to realize it's a journey. Before you get to the mountain, you need to climb up. Okay? And that process right there, around you, there are plenty of people who are ahead of you. Be more humble and say, how do I get that person right there? Yes, eventually I get to the top of the mountain, but before that, I need to go through these phases. You say, I want to go to the mountain right away as quickly as possible. It's not possible because it depends on your circumstances. It depends on a lot of factors. There's no one basic hard and fast rule for it. Okay? Each person is different. You have a lot of what is called a lot of obstructions. You need to learn to resolve. And one obstruction right now is this constant greed that says, I want to get there as soon as possible. Guess what? Get to the end of the line. Everyone ahead of you still want the same thing. Also want the same thing. Okay? They want to get there quickly too. But you get there quicker by patiently executing instructions. Lesson number 2. Be grateful that you have a goal worthwhile to challenge yourself. And that you have the honor, if I may use that word, to be among those who are better than you, who are ahead of you. It's a privilege, let me tell you. Just like in the Pure Land. You go to the Pure Land, among the people around you are far better than you, and yet they mingle with you. It's an honor, trust me, because you are annoying. You low-level people are like a radio broadcasting constantly 24 hours a day. I was in a chi once. A bodhisattva came and said, "Okay, since you're cultivating, I stick around with you a little bit." And so I tell you what, when you have lunch, I have lunch as well. So I didn't say anything. I have lunch for a few days, and then one day I said, "You know, my teacher, he said, you know, that sometimes you don't have to need to say anything, but your loud speaks louder than a radio." And that guy looked at me and said, "Oh," he never came back. I never stopped by for lunch anymore, ever. It's too loud. You see how nice these people are. They tolerate you. They accept you. They embrace you. So that, like in the Pure Land, they make sacrifices so that you have a safe environment. You can rub elbows with people who are better than you, who made progress further than you, and maybe you can learn something from them, because you learn a lot more from your peers in your college and your companions than the teacher. The teacher teaches you maybe once a week, once a month if you're lucky. But those companions are the people you eat lunch with, you mop the floor with, and so forth. Those are the ones who really are your teachers. They're called good knowing advisors, by the way. So I said, like that Korean concubine, she said, "Master, you must teach me." But she fails to understand that the real teachers, equally as important as me, are those Korean ladies she doesn't like. That's part of the training. You learn from your peers. It's part of the training. You see? You fail. You only see one thing, and you blind to the rest. It's the complete environment. It's not just me. Not just Master YongHua. My job to ensure that you have such exposure to the people who qualify, who's competent, that who are better than you. That to me, trust me, it's an honor, a privilege, because it's an act of giving. So instead of keep on saying, me, I want to get there, learn to appreciate the journey, learn to appreciate the environment, learn to appreciate the kindness and the compassion of those around you who are much better than you and who are patiently tolerating you. Because it's part of that training as well. Jewel count.
sayings.
Oh. Try now.
Dimita.
You can hear now? No? You can hear now?
Tilimita.
Okay.
And here.
You can hear. Yeah, okay. Sorry, we hit the wrong button here. It's us. Okay? So, the training, by the way, in our temple is different. It's not like going to a classroom where you have grades or the professor is the one who gives you information. Actually, here, the training is from your being there. The training is that a lot of things you learn are from your peers, from the same people who are struggling like you. Okay? And by the way, there are a lot of things I cannot tell you. Because if I told you, I'd be promoting myself. I'd be selling the Dharma. That's why a lot of things that you learn are actually spoken by your peers, are exemplified by your peers. Okay, and that's the nature of the information we give you. I can tell you, I can talk so much, but when I reach the point where it gets to the edge of where I will, if I spoke more, I would benefit myself more than benefits you. That's when I have to stop. That's my constraint. So that's why when it benefits you more, I can have freedom to mess around, okay? When I get to the edge of thing where in order for you to get further, I have to benefit myself more than I benefit you, then I stop. I can't speak. That zone is when your peers or my disciple can speak for you. I can no longer speak. See, Alex, it's not, the Mahayana is quite different. We function differently. I cannot give you all the information. You're not at that level yet. Okay, so it's not uncommon for you to learn from your peers. And the very simple thing, if they can get there, so can you. You're right. But they're in a better position to tell you how they got there themselves than me. Okay? So look around, learn from your peers, because they have things to share. Either they do it right or they do it wrong. If they do it wrong, then don't do it. That's a lesson too. You do it right, then copy them, steal from them. That's how you get there. But the fact that you're so adamant about, I'm going to get there quickly because otherwise it would be not worthwhile for me to be there, be here. It's your failures, not the system's failures, not the Dharma's failures. It's not the temple's failure, because you fail to learn from the composite lesson. Same thing with Avatamsaka Sutra here. The Buddha chose to speak himself a certain chapter because he's the authority in those chapters. It's best he delivers them. But there are other cases where it's better that to have a bodhisattva who specialize in those practices speak about it. And the Buddha invisibly ate the bodhisattva, make sure to stir these people in the right directions and deliver the appropriate amount of information. You see? So it's the same thing here. In our temple, there are cases where I need to deliver information directly to you, scold you, beat you up, and frighten the heck out of you. Okay? But there are cases because no one else can. Because they're too soft. My disciples are too soft. They won't dare hurt you. I never hesitate to hurt anyone. I love it, actually, when I see people in pain. Better you than me. Okay? So there are things that I can do, and there are other things that you're better off learning from others than from me. Because I put these people through these hardships, and they survived. Okay? So they're much better at explaining to you how they survived, because I don't care how they survive. I care more about administering the tests, not how you pass it. See, my side, I administer tests. I specialize in doing that. Whereas the other people, the students, are the one who pass the tests. Those are the ones you want to learn from. Okay, and so and you have to stop, just like that Korean princess, concubine. I forgot what her name is. You have to appreciate the environment because it's collective Dharma speaking. The Dharma I'm talking about here is being spoken by the 10,000 things, by 10,000 people. For example, when I first started, I was at Lu Mountain Temple. I said, my Dharma is that be humble. You're a beggar. Okay? Know your place. And then people start coming and they start putting me on a pedestal and say, wow, I'm special, am I not? So I speak the Dharma of someone who's special. You see? So it changes because of the circumstances, because of the people who go there. The people now later come, they have money, they have power, they have smarts. So I have to speak to them from a position of power, of smarts, up so forth. So the Dharma evolves. So Wei Mountain Temple is, our headquarters. It's just walls. I have no statues. People have 4 statues on me. We're a Chan temple. We don't attach. Attached to empty. We're empty. What do you need statues for? But now we're in San Francisco. We're doing Pure Land. Now we need statues. Now we need drums, floors, curtains, nice things, red cars, yachts, helicopters. Don't stop me. You know what I mean? So it's different. The Dharma is conveyed differently because of the type of practice. But look at how rich the experience is. These people, they prefer Chan, some people prefer Pure Land, some people like knowledge, like Master Xianjie. Master Xianjie is all knowledge. Okay, some prefer like tantras, and so forth. It's a very rich experience, and you fail to discover that. And that's why you learn. I cannot speak those dharmas. It's your peers who are speaking those dharmas. Only create the environment. That's all. All right? Anyone else? That's a good question, by the way. He's very vocal. He never hesitates. It's like the concubine, And that's a great thing. Speak your mind. Absolutely. And don't feel bad if I shoot you down. Anyone would like to add anything? Huh? It's a very rich experience, let me tell you. You know, this is such a fallacy to think that I'm the only one who teaches. No. Remember this Avatamsaka Sutra is the 10,000 Dharmas, the 10,000 things speak the Dharma, the 10,000 people at the temple speak the Dharma, trust me. That's our Dharma. Conk, go ahead.
안녕하세요.
You couldn't hear us?
Yes. 제가 오늘 아침 일찍 얘기를 나누면서 오다가 제가 너무 많은 직장에서나 집에서나 너무 많은 책임을 지려고 한다. 그 책임을 굳이 지려고 하지 말고 그것에 스트레스를 받지 말아라라는 이야기를 들었는데요. 제가 보고 들리는 거나 느끼게 되는 것들에 대해서는 사실 일정 부분 제가 해결해야 되는 부분이 있다는 생각이 들어서 항상 그것을 해결하려고 노력을 했었는데 그게 저에게 스트레스가 되거나 한다면은 그거를 신경 쓰지 않거나 들리거나 하는 거에 제 마음을 불편하게 하는 걸 참아내는 게 더 맞는 건지 질문 드리고 싶습니다.
Today, this morning, early morning, I talked with people about that. I feel so much pressure about responsibility. So I got pressure that what I hear and what I saw, I got some pressure that I need to do something. But if I got so much stress about those kind of things, then do you think it would be better to endure those things? Even if I hear something, I saw something, just don't take the responsibility and just endure. Is it right thing?
What are you talking about? I bet you cannot say it again.
네. 제가 책임을 제가 보고 듣고
No,
느끼는
I'm not
것들.
talking to you. I'm talking about the translator.
네.
She truncates. Sang-wook,
부분.
when she translates, she said, no, that sentence is too long. I will cut it down. Listen, okay. Life is stressful, especially at work. Especially now with the work situation and the job pressure and so forth. Rule of thumb: okay. The more pressure you're under, you should learn from one of my disciples here. What does she do when she's under pressure? She calmly crosses her legs and meditates. He said, "I'm so much pressure. I'm so tired." So instead of complaining, calling someone and saying, "Honey, why aren't you here to help me out? I don't like it. I want a divorce." She calmly crossed her legs. And you know what happens? She looked younger. So the pressure actually help her, is a motivation for her to cross her legs, to clear her head. You know, my point here is this. Sometimes the pressure at work, the stress at work, are actually opportunities for you to learn to cope with it by crossing your legs. And quite often, more often than people realize, when you're in trouble, when you're in dire straits, and instead of panicking, instead of complaining, okay, you calmly cross your legs. That's a skill you can always go back to. Okay, you cross your legs, and instead of panicking, and you wait and wait and wait until your mind calms down. That's all you have to do. Okay, you fall asleep because you're tired, too stressed out, so be it. But every time you're stressed out, cross your legs and wait until you are no longer stressed out. And keep crossing your legs and crossing your legs. Eventually, you will no longer are stressed out. That means that you improved. The stress you're experiencing cannot affect you anymore. Okay? And a new stress will come, and you have the same thing again. You cross your legs, and then, And so, for example, this particular person here, she bought a house, okay? So, and it's a tear down, so they have to, call workers and fix their houses up and so forth. And, and between having a job and fixing a house, it's 2 jobs, plus being married, that's 3 jobs, okay? And helping at the temple, that's job number 4, So she's stressed out, so she crossed her legs. And she seemed to be okay now, and guess what? Now another house is up for sale right next to her. And she came to me this morning and said, I love to have this house. You see? Life is fun, isn't it? The stress never stops. And you embrace life. Don't be afraid. Cross your legs, okay? Rule of thumb, okay? When you are in trouble, when you are overwhelmed, calmly find a chance to cross your legs until you calm down. That's it. Don't do anything. Wait until your head is clear and that you calm down before you do anything. Can we make a deal? That's it. When you're stressed out, wait until you calm down. Do not commit to anything. Don't go for a divorce. Don't quit your jobs. Hey, heavy breather, you hear me? Don't quit. You wait until you're clear. And then you go to your boss and say, damn you. And it's okay then. But when you quit because you're under stress, because you are not clear-headed, it's not advisable. Okay? That's why the skill you're developing here, it seems like Alex says, let me show you some concrete results. No, the process here will naturally help you develop the skills to cope with increasingly more difficult, more challenging things. And when you're able to do that, that's called wisdom. That's called progress. Does it help? Does it make sense to you? I have someone in Kong who keeps going like this. So she must agree with me. Okay. I like it. Thank you. See you next time. Okay. Transference. We need to help people get to the Pure Land. Thank you all.